Hi, welcome to the third video on building with Google Maps API. So on the last video, we got multiple locations loaded on a map, and also we changed the dark mode, the regular map. So now what I intend to do today is give some animation. As you see right now, I'm clicking and there's no animation, there's no information. So this is how we left off last time. So this is how it should be at the end of this video. We need to add, and I just added some small information, some silly information, but good enough for us to know that it's working. So if I refresh, you'll see that there's another animation which is drops. Okay, that each pin is dropped to the map. Okay, let's get started. So what we need to do, or I'm going to start, is by adding animation to the marker. And right now we have, this is the marker here, and we have just two options or two properties passed in this object, which is the restaurant location, and then the map that we're referring to. So this is where we're going to add the animation. The animation, the property, sorry. Animation, and there you go. Now I'm going to add these links where you can find reference to this animation here. So in Google Maps API documentation. So I'm just going ahead and adding this animation here. So far we have it, and now let's just check that it works. Okay, so I'll refresh. There you go. So this is the animation that I just added, which is drop. So there's nothing else. There's no any other animation or information. Okay, now let's go back and add. So I would like just to move this to a function. So I'll start here. So I'm going to start creating this function, which will be CreateMarkers. And just simple enough, I'm going to move this here inside. Okay. Perfect. Okay, and down here, still inside the for loop, I'm gonna create the info window, lowercase, and create a new constructor, a new object. And for now, we're just going to leave it empty. We'll populate, we'll make sure to add the information later on. So we can make sure that it works for each of the markers. I would like to just create a function that will populate the window. So I'll create the function here. And I'll say populate info window. And parameter will be info and marker, meaning the marker that we need to attach the information. and then this will make sure that we have the marker is not that is not populated. So if it's not, then we can actually open the information and also we need to make sure we clear any information. So if we click an info window from another marker, then if we click the second, we need to make sure to clear whatever is that in the info window. And just that way we make sure that we have the correct information for the correct marker. And finally here, we set the content to the marker content. Okay, so we can add the event listener here below marker. So this will be at listener. And we pass here what we call this this function that we just created. And we pass the arguments info window. Okay. And this statement here will open the window. And this is also in the Google Maps API documentation. So from what map and the marker that we're opening the info window. We removed the for loop to create a function for it. So now we need to pass this here. Okay, so now all right, now as you can see here, I'm gonna refresh it and I'm gonna explain what the problem is. I'm clicking here and see, clicking here, it pops up here. Okay, so one thing we need to change, and reason I didn't change it, so I need to kind of explain briefly what's happening. So this marker, the variable is the global scope. So one way, and I won't go into details, one way would be to add this as, okay, so this, and this is a keyword, meaning that right here, because this is a function inside, anonymous function, when it's clicked, whatever is this will refer to the element, in this case, the marker that was clicked. So this keyword, it's bound to the marker. So this will allow to make sure that we're triggering the correct marker. So let's see now if it works. Yep. Okay. Now we don't have the small information, but we'll get that added. But everything's working fine for now. Now this doesn't have to be complicated. Another way, and the much simpler way I'm going to do this, is actually just not place this in the global scope. And by the way, info here, we have not declared this, so I'm going to add this here. Okay. So marker, instead of doing globally, I'm gonna declare it here. That way I don't have to do this, because now it's in the local scope. Just the best solution is just make it local, a local declaration of the variable. Okay, so now let's just check and see how it works. Everything works well, just like it's supposed to be. There we go. Okay. All right, so the next thing is actually this information. So the window works, right? The info window works, but we did not add any information. So now, one way I found easier for me to add information, and later on we can pull this from an API, but right now we can pull this information from the restaurants. Now these restaurants right now, we have the title, and we'll get that title, and so populate it there. But we also can add description of the food, whatever we want. But right now it's just I'm gonna copy and paste. Okay, now I have content, and the only thing I did is says hello from the title of the restaurant for now, but we can add more information, whether that's the address, phone number, email, or just whatever we want. So now, in order for us to add this and display it, I'm gonna add here, we have position. We're creating a marker, and we're adding these properties to the marker: position, map, animation. Going through the array and getting this information. Okay, so now, okay, this information that I'm referencing here, that's what we're talking about. Okay. All right, so I got that now added. Now there's another animation, which is the when I click that the marker, it will bounce, right? And this also this animation is in the Google Maps API documentation. So let's add this bounce, and for this also we'll create a function. Set bounce, and we need to pass perimeter, which would be the marker that we add in, the animation, and this is the function that we call in, and here we go, bounce, all capital. I'll post the links for this as well if you want to take a look. So now it's created. The perfect place for us to do it is once we after we populated the information, and we need to pass a marker too, so making sure. All right, now let's check. Okay, now yeah, I will continue bounce and bounce and bounce, and if I keep going, then we have multiple markers bouncing. We need to stop it. We need to set timeout, and the timeout will be here. So set timeout. This will be an iffy, function. Okay. And then we need to bind, or making sure that it's set to the correct marker. Okay, there we go. And if it's an immediate evoke function. Okay, so let's save this and save. And now let's check our markers if it's working properly. It's like a 1.5 second animation. There we go. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is add the title. And we'll add this title here. And now let's check. All right, there you go. Perfect. On our next video, we're going to work on a simple API using API with GitHub. This will allow us to create a JSON object, which will be our API for the restaurants with the location, the content, the title. This will allow us to create the markers and display the content and the title. Okay, so see you in the next video.